Morning, Kimberly. Welcome. Good morning, traders. Welcome to the live trading room. I hope you are all doing well. Okay, let's run through the yen pairs again. We have been on a yen theme this week. Let's start with pound US dollar. Rather, pound yen. Pound yen, it looks like it's coming down correctively, but there's no momentum for upside. So we'll still expect this to come to around these levels. We're still expecting continuation to the downside here. That's what the indicator is showing us here. Let's just admit more people here. Only way this is going to be done with this corrective structure is when we have a 4-hour candle closing above that. We've got this closing above, not closing, we've got it trading above the 50%. That is the RSI. So that is how we're going to confirm that that has ended that small corrective structure to the downside. For now, we are still pretty bearish. We are trading lower than the 50%. This is not, this is deep, so we'll look for this one to continue to the downside. Okay, so we're still looking for it to come around that level. That is on pound yen, US dollar yen. So US dollar yen, we still expect after the break here, we are making a pullback here. We're still expecting that we're going to come and retest this low and possibly even trade lower than that. So the yen pairs are still bearish, although we can see that this is just about 50%. There is no setup for upside here. We should see this one continue to the downside. Could push slightly up above here, but it should continue to the downside. Euro yen. Euro yen, we have euro yen of all the yen pairs. It has reached the level that we wanted it to reach when we broke from there, and then the indicator confirmed from that. Now we have broken around that level. Is it time for it to bounce around those levels? There doesn't seem to be much momentum, and we are still trading well below the 50%. So euro yen can start slowing down here, with an ending diagonal here before we make a bounce to the upside. So expect euro yen to consolidate around these levels before making that bounce. Right, so that is euro yen. Chief yen. Chief yen, we still want it to continue to the downside and reach around these levels. We are making this pullback currently. We're still trading much lower than the 50%. So we're still pretty bearish. We still expect this to trade around these levels since breaking out of this corrective structure. So we still expect it to come to this level. We're taking it one wave at a time. When we get to these levels, we'll confirm the structure that we are looking at on the pound pairs. Welcome, Dada Success. Morning, Ruth. All right, so let's look at CAD yen. CAD yen has reached that level. Remember when it broke out here, we looked at this one on Monday or Tuesday. We looked for this one to come around this level. We have reached that level now. We expect now to see a bounce. We may consolidate here a bit before we make the bounce, but we're expecting now that we bounce to around those levels on CAD yen. If we bounce to this level, we may be looking for another opportunity for a short. We'll look at what the indicator is showing us in the higher degree. So let's see how CAD yen plays out. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen, this is how we looked at the structure. Okay, this is how we looked at the structure on New Zealand yen. We're looking at this to be a three-wave structure and for this to drop. Okay, it doesn't look like it's dropping currently. We're making this pullback. So New Zealand has been showing strength for some time, so we may just see this one push to around these levels. We will confirm the structure when we get to around these levels. Okay, so a possible structure here. We've got 1, 2, 3. This is 3 waves as well, so we can get another 3 waves to touch there. This structure, we can get this one making a move to the upside like this. But that will still be a bearish structure if I switch off here. So you can see this will be typically a WXY structure and then a move to the downside. So let's see, this one should push slightly higher. Let me look at it on the 1 hour to see direction because most of the rest of the yen pairs are showing downside. The 1 hour is not showing upside You can see here as much as the 4 hour also is not showing any structure, but the 1 hour is showing rather downside here. So we should see this one come down here with the rest of the yen pairs. You can see here with the top, we're almost trading below 50, so we should see this one come down. So New Zealand yen should now start trading lower. Let's have a look at Aussie yen. Aussie yen, it's a clear corrective structure here, clear setup for continuation to the downside. So we will see, as much as we've almost reached that level, we should see this one reach as that level. Didn't quite touch it, we can still see this come down here. It can come down here, this one can pull back here and do this, then that will mean that we've got divergence. This would have made a new lower low, this one would have made a new higher low, okay? So that is how we're looking at the yen pairs. So that is the story with all the yen pairs. Gold, let's go to the 4 hour. All right, so let's have a look at gold. So gold, we still want to see the 3-wave pullback here. So we still expect a bit of a push to the upside that would have made the 3-wave structure on gold. So we still expect a bit of a push to the upside. We are resetting here again, showing that gold is still short-term bullish on this corrective structure. All right. Let's do the commodities, then we'll start with the rest of the US dollar pairs. Silver is bearish, guys. Silver is bearish, and especially if you get a 4-hour candle closing below the flag here, we're going to see silver come down to this level. Now, if silver is going to drop, we're going to see the 4-hour candle closing there. We already confirmed there. We're already trading lower than the 50%. Structure is already showing us 3 waves. So silver should come around the 25 area. Let's just have a look here. So it will not be surprising to see silver come trade around this level, make a bounce this level, make another bounce before pushing up higher and then upside. So what is the implication on gold? So silver should go down with gold. So that means gold can start pulling back here. Okay, we can start getting a smaller pull back here while silver is pushing to the downside. Alternatively, we could have this as a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3 back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. So that means that pullback that you're going to see on silver will be these 3 waves on gold. Still the same 3-wave structure. It's just going to be a bigger one than what we would have anticipated here. Actually looks very impulsive to be a corrective structure. So if silver is going to do that structure, this is the red is gold. Silver is showing us downside here. So we're just waiting for confirmation on silver. If that's going to happen on silver, we should see gold make a structure, that structure to the downside. So the correlation will still be there. So keep an eye on this on silver. So silver from here, okay, the expectation is that we're going to bounce here, okay, to make this continuation structure. We may not bounce, we may even go straight down. So this will be a trade setup. Look for a trade setup here to take it around those levels. Okay, so I'm going to put in an alert on this. If you are on a pro plan, you should have an option to put in as much as 10 alerts. The free plan, I think, gives you an option to put in as much as 4 alerts. So this is silver, and we're expecting that. So when this triggers this level here, this should send me a notification or an email. So I push it a little bit further so that when it touches here, it would have already broken here. So that's the reason why I just pull the trend line here. Okay, so I'll check it when it is already broken to the downside. Platinum with the silver and gold pulling back, I would expect to start seeing platinum pull back like that. Okay, will this now be a running flat on platinum? Then we start seeing downside like the rest together with gold. Let's keep an eye on this. That is a very likely structure to happen. Let's have a look at this indicators. We're still above 50, but it looks like we are going to see downside. Let's give it a bit more time. On gold, I will complete yellow intermediate degree wave 4. Yellow intermediate degree wave 4. Let's go to the structure. Let's go to the daily. So the yellow intermediate, you'll only see it on the daily. So this is the structure. Currently, we're looking at this as a three-wave structure, right? So we're looking at this as a three-wave structure, and we're looking for gold to, this was on the, just have a look here. So this was July 11th. So the chart was done on the July the 11th. So we had this push to the upside, which we expected just a pullback and continuation to the upside for a three-wave structure. This should be green, that red should be green. So we expected a three-wave structure here, like this, to complete that red that wave 5 in the red degree there. Okay, so currently that is what we're looking at. We're looking for that red degree to push to the upside. So that wave 4 is deemed to be completed so far. But looking at how bearish this is and what we're expecting now to see continuation to the downside, we've got a pullback here currently. We can still see come down here. This red line here is going to invalidate this as a wave 4. So if it trades lower than the red line, that means we may still have a structure like this. And then we have that. So let me draw it clearly with the straight line so you can see exactly the structure and why that is the invalidation line. So if that is the invalidation line, we have that pullback here. We get this one trading lower there to the lows at 1600. That invalidates the structure, because if that happens, there's a likelihood that this bounces here and makes a three-wave structure like this. And then we make a move to the upside. And if that happens, then that means that this wave 4 is rather here. Okay, so that is the one option. So that will mean that now you've got this as a W, as a X, and a Y. Okay, so that is the structure on gold. Let me see if there's an alternative here. Alternative is if this current move, which is not likely as you've seen silver dropping, does this, we still see this as three waves, and then we still see a move to the upside. Okay, so but we are favoring more the downside first and then upside. I don't know if that is clear, Saroj. All right, so that is gold. Let's have a look at platinum. We've already looked at. Brent crude pulling back with that three-wave structure, which we are looking at as a wave 4. Initially, we looked at this to be a wave 4. Similarly, we wanted this to take the top. We could have taken the top. If it take the top, it just meant that we're going to have a flat correction. Now it did not take the top. That simply means that we are going to have this as a possible zigzag like this. 1, 2, 3. We still expect this to trade lower. So that's the pullback in wave 4. This is wave 1. This is wave 2. This is wave 3. This is wave 4, and we'll expect a 5. Our invalidation level is this one here. We don't want to trade here. Then if we trade lower than this, that invalidates the rules. So we'll still expect this to make 5 waves for a wave 5 here. All right, so that is what we're looking at on Brent crude. A bit of a pullback here. We'll look for this to trade around the blue box area, these levels, before we push to the upside. Okay, Let's go then look at all, let's start from the DXY. So yesterday with the DXY, we looked for this to start making the three ways to the downside. We still have not broken out of this ending diagonal. We're still pushing up we're still pushing up higher, but the divergence is still there. Even if we do see this one make a move to the upside here, we are still expecting that we're going to see downside. Okay, so that is normal. They won't push it down just like that. They won't make it obvious. So this looks like it's still going to be a bit of a continuation to the upside here. But as long as that divergence is intact, we are expecting that we're going to get this deeper move to the downside here, at least back to the 90 to 91, 90 on the DXY. All right, so that is what we have on US dollar index. Let me take the questions at the end. I'll come back to the questions. You've got a question on oil. So if I start taking questions, I'm gonna be off track. So let's finish all of them and then I'll come back to those. So let's have a look at the DXY. So look at this on the indicator. The divergence is still there as much as it's making new highs. The indicator, the RSI, is already on the downside. So we are just simply looking for a setup for more downside here. Same as the euro, did not break yesterday as expected. Instead, it made a similar setup to what we had on CAD last time. Remember the setup we showed on CAD? We first had this one here. Confirmation for downside. Showing us one more down here. Another one here. So we had looked at this as an impulse, but when you look at the indicator, did not confirm the break. We did not confirm the break. So even as it is now, we are going to see this make one more low before we push to the upside. So we're still expecting this. It could push slightly lower, but we are almost ready to make a push to the upside. And this could be a very big move, could be a very fast move to the upside on Euro US dollar, to the upside on Euro US dollar and to the downside on the DXY, obviously. Pound US dollar, we're looking for this to trade lower into the blue box. That is still the expectation, that we trade lower into the blue box. You can see the divergence here as well on pound. Look at that. As much as we're making these lows, let me just clear this. Let me clear everything here. As much as we're making these lows, we're showing very strong divergence. We are even trading up above 50 here on the 4 hour. Okay, so pound may not even trade lower anymore. So we may get this one starting to be a continuation pattern for more upside, which means we'd have started 1, 2, and we're starting with 3 waves here. So watch this for a trade setup. The trade setup here will come if this starts giving us a setup here, or we start trading above this level. That will mean that pound will not give us any more move to the downside, and we are ready for upside as the trend to the upside has already started. So that means the bigger structure would have completed as follows in the 4 hour. So that means the bigger structure would have completed as a flat as follows. This can be accepted as a flat. Remember the guidelines that Elliott gave for a flat correction is just that if this is an A, this is a B, B will end around the start of wave A. So it could be slightly shorter, slightly higher, or exactly at A. Similarly for a C, it ends at around the end of wave A. Or so around the end of wave A is a bit open, so you can say this is acceptable, a little bit short or a little bit lower. That will still be a regular flat. Okay, so either way, if we come trade lower than that, we will expect to see upside on pound around these levels. US dollar chief. US dollar chief wanted to see that continue to the downside. But with the structure on the DXY, will this just be a flat here and we see continuation to the downside like that? Very likely that could be the structure. We are at the top here, just slightly above 50. So let's watch this here. If this is going to continue to the upside, this is not a setup for upside because we're already at the top here. So we don't see any upside as yet. We may push slightly higher on the 1 hour like that, but still push to the downside. US dollar CAD continues to push to the upside. From here, we saw the flag. This is another flag. We're still expecting continuation to the upside, especially when oil is going to continue pulling back for that correction. Expect US dollar CAD to continue pushing to the upside because CAD is going to be weak. It's going to be weak for some time. But again, look at the divergence. There is a strong divergence. This is making a pulsing move to the upside. So that is a motive wave, 1, 2, 3, 4. Could this be a 5 that's ending with a diagonal? Then we're going to get a pullback before we push to the upside. So far, we're getting this strong divergence here, which is strong divergence. We're getting divergence here. So we're going to expect, we're going to expect that deeper pullback at some point here. So we can get this one pulling back like that, and then upside. It won't be that deep. It shouldn't be that deep. The pullback shouldn't be that deep. It should be just up to around the 50%. Okay. The deeper one like that. Okay, so that is US dollar CAD, but upside now. I'm going to jump to US dollar ZAR because US dollar ZAR and US dollar CAD are correlated. So as indicated here yesterday, we have completed these 5 waves on US dollar ZAR. We should see a corrective structure, a consolidation here. Likely we're going to have a flat correction here before continuation to the upside. So the move to the upside on US dollar ZAR is not done, but wait for a decent entry here with a decent corrective structure like a flat. Okay, so that's what we have on US dollar ZAR. Let's go to the rest here. Audi US dollar. Audi US dollar also, just like Euro US dollar, this one has completed its corrective structure. We have completed the corrective structure here. We expected a bounce here because we've got strong divergence. This is showing us upside here, but we're not quite trading above the 50% here on the 4 hour and obviously on the daily. But eventually what we are going to expect here is we're going to consolidate here, but we're going to make eventually a bounce. Okay, we're going to bounce to the upside eventually here. Okay, we're going to keep an eye on this. What do we have now? We are back onto the blue box, and this looks like a corrective structure. So we can make a corrective structure here, make one more down into the blue box and push to the upside. Either way, we're just going to be making this ending diagonal around this level here. Okay, so we're just going to be making a diagonal coming down here, and then we're going to see a bounce to the upside. Okay. New Zealand US dollar. So New Zealand US dollar, we can see New Zealand US dollar on the 4 hour coming to retest this level here. So we'll see this one come to around this level. So New Zealand has been strong. So there must be some fundamentals that are making the New Zealand strong. Okay, so those are the US dollar pairs, US dollar ZAR. We've already gone through that. It's simply making a 3-wave corrective structure that can come down here, come back up here, make a flat. We've already checked this one. Yen pairs, we've gone through together with the commodities. Let's look at the pound pairs. So CAD, that blue box has failed. You are now getting a continuation to the upside, and the 1 hour is already confirmed that you're going to get continuation to the upside with this candle closing above here. So upside, that blue box that we expected has failed, and that will mean that the CAD structure is not going to reverse, it's going to continue to the upside. So I'm going to stay away from these two until we get a decent 4-hour entry. Pound Audi, making a new setup here. This is an expanding flat on Pound Audi. The expectation has always been upside on this one here. This candle closing above this level here should see more upside. That is a setup for more upside on pound Audi. Right, let's go to pound New Zealand. Just 1 second, guys. Right, so pound New Zealand has been messy since that drop. Let's go to the 4-hour. Pound New Zealand, we're still expecting this structure. There's an expanding flat here. We should see this one come around these levels. The structure here will be expanding flat in the middle, 1, 2, 3 there, and then expectation will be to push to the upside. Pound Audi upside, Euro Audi should be upside. Okay, so Euro Audi is not as convincing as pound Audi. Eventually we have broken out of this structure on Euro Audi, and then we're expecting this one to continue to the upside. At least take this top first, push possibility of a pullback and make a flat is there. So we'll look at that as well. So for now, continuation to the upside up until these levels on Euro Audi. Okay, so that is pound CAD, Euro, pound CAD and Euro CAD. Euro CAD, we should see a bit of a pullback here in 3 waves, but we'll still expect this to come around these levels. Right, let's have a look here, pound New Zealand and Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand is showing more clear structure for more downside. So we should see this one come down some more. Let's have a look at the bigger structure. This is 3 waves here. We're looking at this to be 3 waves, and for Euro New Zealand, we wanted to see Euro New Zealand push to the upside. That is still very likely to happen. This can just come back down here and we push to the upside. So we've got this as 3 waves here. We've got this as 3 waves here, and this is another 3 waves here. If you look at the internal structure of this complex B here, it's 3 waves down here, it's 3 waves up here, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down. That's why we're expecting this continuation pattern here to come around this level. That will be a WXY corrective structure. Then we'll see this one push to the upside from around that level. So for now, look at that to continue to the downside to around these levels. The bigger structure will be obviously this one here, where we expect this to be a W, a X, and a Y, as follows. That is Euro New Zealand. It's got a clearer structure than pound New Zealand. Okay, so both of them bearish short term. I'm going back to pound New Zealand again, just to remind you the structure, just to see that there's correlation between this going down and also Euro New Zealand going down. Right, so that's pound CAD, Audi, New Zealand, Chief. All right, so pound Chief. Pound Chief, we're looking for this to drop. This was impulsive. We've seen a 3-wave pullback here. It looked impulsive as well. Looks like we're going to have a 3-wave structure here. A bit of a push to the upside, but we're still going to expect this to continue to the downside. Euro Chief. Euro Chief, we're getting a pullback here. We should see a deeper pullback in 3 waves. Eventually, we should sell that. Remember the long-term downside on Euro Chief. Any deeper pullback is giving an opportunity for a sell. Audi New Zealand continues to the downside. We're only targeting for it to get to this level. We've broken lower than that level on Euro New Zealand. So we can exit that trade here on Audi New Zealand. You can exit from here, because from here we would have expected a bounce. If it's not bouncing, that will change the structure, but we should expect a bounce. We're still expecting a bounce. It's still not invalidated. Just because we've broken lower here does not mean we cannot bounce from here. It can be an expanding flat. Still continuation to the downside on Audi New Zealand. Audi CAD. Audi CAD, we expect this one to still come back down here. This is the structure. And then upside. Audi Chief. One, two, three. This will be a blue box area for more sell. New Zealand CAD. Eventually tested that level that we wanted to see. Will this now be a three-wave structure and we start seeing downside? We wait for confirmation there. New Zealand Chief. Invalidated this as a three-wave structure. So it looks like we're starting a small leading diagonal here. If it's a leading diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 waves. CAD Chief. We are still bearish CAD Chief. We saw this one looking like a three-way structure. It has broken lower. We've tested this level. We will not be surprised to see this one bouncing and then continue to the downside. S&P 500 looks like we've got a setup on the 1 hour on the S&P 500 for continuation to the upside. Let's have a look at that. So 1 hour is showing us more upside. That's a setup on the 1 hour. We're going to trade here above 50. This is going to close above here. So we're going to see the S&P 500 see 440 even. May see 440 on the S&P 500. Dow Jones Industrial. Same 1 hour setup. Not as clean as the S&P 500, but we are trading above 50. We have already resetted. We should see this one trade higher as well. Nasdaq pullback. We've got the gap down in 3 waves. Push to the upside. This could be a flat here. We are at the bottom. We are well below 50 here on the 1 hour, but with the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones pushing up higher, this will be a flat correction and we'll see more upside on the Dow, or rather on the Nasdaq. UK 100. So the drop yesterday, we've already dropped. We may see this one come even lower here. This is showing continuation to the downside here. DAX. Continuation to the downside. And the Nikkei. Then move to the downside on the Nikkei is not done, so we're going to see this one continue to the downside, at least back to around 27,360 on the Nikkei. And the Nifty. Nifty broke out of this structure here yesterday. And we expect this. If we get a corrective structure here, that is the continuation to the upside. Right, so let's have a look at the cryptocurrencies. Looking at just the 1 hour time frame on Bitcoin. We've made a three-wave structure here. One, this is one, this is two with a spike there. That's three. We're coming down with this, correcting here. We'll see this being retested. So we are still bearish here on Bitcoin. We're gonna see one more down here. We're at the top. We are below, trading below 50. So there is no prospects of reversal as yet. We are still bearish. Ethereum still showing downside, even if we do see this one bounce around these levels to make this flat here, we'll still see this make a move continuation to the upside. The moves to the downside are not over as yet. All of them showing downside, very bearish. As you can see, trading well below 50 on the 4-hour. This should continue to the downside here. It looks like we're not going to get those bounces from the 50%. We may even get a structure like this. But this is one single, this is a three-wave structure here. Even if we're not gonna get bounce all the way up, we should at least bounce up in three waves if we're gonna get to this level. Doesn't look like we can get down here in a straight line. XRP. Three waves down, three waves up. We can get this one bouncing up here for a three-wave structure and retest this low. For us to get to these lows, we may have to have some bounces here, but the overall structure is downside. If we get down here, that is still bearish on the cryptos. So there's still no hope for reversal on the cryptocurrencies. Dogecoin looks to be going for that 16 cents. This looks like a three-way structure. We'll be looking for a bounce at least around those levels. ADA, the same. This has been impulsive since these three waves, impulsive to the downside. We should expect us to see a bounce here in three waves for more downside. No hope for reversal as yet. We are still bearish the cryptocurrencies. Let's look at Link. Almost reaching that downside here with one single wave. Are we going to get a bounce here? If we get a bounce, that means continuation to the downside on Link. So generally, the cryptocurrencies are still on a bear market. We'll have a session. We should just have a look out for the live technical analysis for the long-term views on all the cryptocurrencies. Have a great day, everyone, and have a great weekend. I will see you all on Sunday. Please do watch the Sunday webinars. They are really a good overview for the coming week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.